All right, good afternoon. Sorry for the horrible mess. These are my notes from last year, and as you can see, I managed to dump coffee on them like 3 times, which is why they're such a horrific mess. But I forgot my notes from this year at school, so here we go. Um, what's going to happen is I'm going to be giving you these videos every class, and your homework is going to be to watch them. Okay, take notes on them. Uh, well, I'm not giving you a quiz next class. I will be giving you a quiz the class after that based on the video. So it generally works out. If you do your homework and you watch the video, then it's an easy 20 out of 20. No problem. Uh, if you don't, it becomes a little more challenging. Your homework, or not your homework, but your classwork was to do these next couple of lines, and it was a challenge. The goal is to get better at reading, and my goal in doing this was to get you guys a little push because we've been struggling, we've been lagging, we've not been doing very well on our classwork assignments. And so I kind of wanted to push you guys into working a little harder. But let me go through this. Remember where we are in this. If you look back up here, um, Aeneas is running into Troy, right? And the first person he runs into Androgeos. And Androgeos thinks that Aeneas and his buddies are friends. So what do you say to these guys who are obviously not in the fight, who are supposed to be your friends? Festinati, this is an imperative. Remember that positive imperative? It's a command. It means hurry up. Hurry up, men. Okay. And you see the quies signantes. You're going to see I've got some notes off to the side too. I do these a lot, especially when my first run through the Latin, I make little notes to myself. I would encourage you to do the same. Not just read, just don't always have the English next to you guys. You've got to be able to read the Latin. Um, hurry up, men. And then he goes, quae signant nin, nin, oh my God, ties. All right. For, that's the nom. What, Tom, what such great inertia? What such great inertia? Like laziness, maybe? All right. Morati delays you, Sarah, so late. Delays you so late. At this point, Pergamum, i.e. Troy, is pretty much toast, okay? They've gotten everything except the main citadel. We're gonna get to see the main citadel in a minute. So hurry up, men, for what's Tom, what such great inertia delays you so late? The others, I could just say others, rapiont. And look, subject, verb, direct object. Others sees intensa. Now, intensa is an adjective and it means burning. And because it's an adjective by itself, I would be looking for a noun for it to go with. Unless you'd had an accusative somewhere above that it would make sense, but there's no accusative above that would make sense with this. But there's one right here, Pergamum. And look at that semicolon. Okay, that semicolon is also telling us that these things can go together. Okay, sees burning. Oh my gosh, burning Troy, because that's what Pergamum, Phaedront, and carry understood it away. Okay. So you could say it, others seize and carry away burning Pergamon. It's fine either way. The quay here is acting as a connector. It's connecting the ferent and the rapiant together. The incensa is the adjective that tells us to pull the Pergamon in. Okay. So all of those are little clues that help us. Now, after the semicolon, we have another thing. Uh-oh, my battery's low. Hold on. Do I have a charger here? There we go. So I don't care that it's a slow charger, it'll be fine. All right. You, and again, it's a question. And it's interesting. The nook here kind of acts as a question. He's like, and the istis, this comes from the verb eo, ire, iwi. It means to go. Okay. And the TIS means y'all. You remember that? OST, MUS, TIS, and T. All right. This is y'all. So, and the wos goes with that. He's like, are you all just now primum? Like just now? So oh my goodness. Are you all just now? Okay. Going, because that's what going. going, Nawibus Kelsey's from Lofty Ships. All right. And what is he saying? He's telling him, he's like, are you just now leaving the ships? Because, of course, the Greeks had hidden. Remember, the Greeks had hidden their whole fleet behind the island of Tenedos, which is where the snakes had come from. Okay. So, are you just now coming from lofty ships? Okay. And that was his question. So he's like, what's taking you so long? Are you just now coming? Dixit. We've spoken before about Dixit. Dixit stops in action. It tells us that something had just finished. It means he spoke, or he had, we could say he had spoken. All right, it means he's done. And Vergil uses this, and actually a lot of poets use this kind of as an end quote. So he had spoken, and immediately, extemplo. Immediate. And immediately, now we need a verb. Okay. Although we do end into this kind of aside. Immediately he sensed. But if we want to pick up this aside first, we can do that if that makes it easier. And immediately, wah, neque, for, enum, for no fidev responsive, for no trusted response, indeed, was being given like satisfactorily. Okay. For indeed, no trusted response was being given um satisfactorily. I'm not going to try to spell satisfactorily. Nothing is going to end well with that. Okay, and that's in the parentheses. Okay, and what that probably means is that there was a Aeneas didn't know what to say, so he just didn't say anything, or Aeneas was like in a heavy Trojan accent responding, which was not going to help. Okay, so we have this. Um, okay, he had spoken, and immediately, we already did that, and immediately, for indeed, no trusted response was being given enough. He sensed, he sensed that he had slipped. Okay. And this is interesting because the sense it is a ding ding verb. Do you guys remember ding ding verbs? Okay, ding ding verbs are those above the shoulder verbs. There's the head verbs, right? And this really is almost like an indirect statement. Okay, an indirect statement would have this as an essay, the lapsus essay, which is why I said he had slipped. Okay, because to me it makes sense as an indirect statement that he had slipped into the middle of the enemy. That he had slipped into the middle of the enemy. Okay. So he recognizes, for indeed, no trusted response was being given, do dare dedi datus here, satisfactory. Ding ding. He sensed that he had slipped into the middle of the enemy. That gives us to a period. All right. Now, okay. Obstupuit. So we finish that sentence. We have obstupuit, which I really like is gobsmacked. He stood gobsmacked. It is a real word. Look it up. It just means shocked. Okay. He stood there shocked and he repressed it and he pressed back. Look at the verb. Okay. He pressed back his foot with his voice. A lot of you got this sentence, which was great. And this is also an example of what we call zeugma. Oh, whoops, there we go. Sorry, you can see that now. Zeugma is when one word governs two different things. In this case, he's pressing back the foot and the voice. Um, this is the physical motion and this is the emotional motion, if that makes sense, right? He is not just stepping back, he is also thinking, oh, I'm in some serious deep doggy do right now. And he is in some serious deep doggy do. Just like Walute is another one. And I did kind of throw you guys in the deep end a little bit with this one. Just like one who, that's the queen. It is a giant epic simile. And when you get these epic similes, what you see are several lines of a rather complex comparison, and it is meant to draw a direct correlation between what's happening. And what we have is Androgeos meeting Aeneas face to face, and he's comparing it to someone who steps on a snake unexpectedly, and the snake sort of goes like rears up and like flares its little head out. What do? You step back and then you're like, crap, I'm in trouble because you are. I don't know if anyone's ever stepped on a snake. Um, I've run into a rattlesnake when I was in Tucson unexpectedly. Yeah, I can tell you it was not fun. It didn't rear its head up, but I did hear the rattle. So, I mean, I didn't quite get the full cobra, but it was definitely scary. It did make me take a step back, which was also not a bad idea because there was another rattlesnake. Um, yeah, Tucson's kind of dangerous. All right, so just like one who, okay, and you can pick up the verb here. Now I have this telling you one who struggling presses. Now this is interesting because what we have here too is a giant chiasmus, right? This unseen snake on the rough thorns. Well, it's on the ground. They've got a nice locative here. We don't see locatives very much. I don't know if you guys remember last year when I told you, the three locatives that you're going to see a lot are Humi, Domi, and Rory. Rory, Humi, and Domi. Means on the ground, means at home. This means in the country. And they always are on the ground, at home, or in the country. There's nothing else they're going to be, okay? Humi, Domi, and Rory are the three most common locatives that you're going to run across. And what do you know? Here we go. Humi, on the ground. Because honestly, where else would a snake be, right? So just like one who, struggling, presses an unseen snake on the ground into the rough thorns, which is, unfortunate. Just like one who, struggling, presses an unseen snake on the ground into the harsh thorns. Okay. I know it's a bit of a pain, but once you follow the grammar, it actually makes sense. Well, sort of. Okay. So just like one, and you really do have to think about this like poetry. You kind of have to have that willing suspension of disbelief and understand it's not going to be a very linear thought process. You kind of have to be willing to let your brain flow, sort of like up and down a little bit. So just like one who, struggling, there's your verb. Okay, so there are my subjects, there's my verb. I'm still following subject, subject, verb, direct object, direct object. Like we're still following the same markups, guys. If you didn't do the markups when I told you to, then this was probably a heck of a lot harder than it needed to be. I've posted the markups in Schoology. I hope you guys have them down. I would strongly encourage you to do that. Okay, because without the markups, this was 15 times harder than it had to be. Just like one who's struggling presses an unseen snake onto the ground in the rough thorns. Okay, and there's your quay. And the quay is connecting these two nominative adjectives that are describing this unknown person here who's stepping on a snake. And trembling, refugit, flees back suddenly. Refugit means to like literally fugio, to flee, right? Again, to flee back. Okay. And literally, and trembling flees back suddenly. Oh. And trembling flees back suddenly. Okay. Because that's what you do. That's what I did when I saw a snake. To be fair, I heard the snake, I guess. I didn't see it. I mean, eventually I saw it, but yeah, you sort of like, you step backwards. You don't step backwards fast because, snakes, but you do take a step backwards. Okay. And now this is kind of tricky because where we are, hold on, let me get this. Oh my goodness, what happened? There we go. All right. Now we're getting the direct objects, the things that he's fleeing from. And he's fleeing from this lifting up angry and swelling up with a purple, or I'm sorry, with a blue neck. I have no flipping clue what a blue necked cobra is, but I guess they have them. Um, Now, this is challenging because it actually is going with these here with the Angwem. All right. And that is really, really, that is very, very challenging. I mean, the grammar is there. It has to be, you've got a period here and it goes to the comma there. So we know that the only way, grammatically speaking, where these accusatives could be is modifying the Angwem. However, they are nowhere near each other. And because it's the way I printed, it probably came off on a different page. And that made it a little bit more difficult. Okay, but what kind of a snake is it? When we talk about this snake, flees back suddenly. And we could even say, from understood the snake, even though we've already translated, you don't need to put it in again, but for clarity's sake, you could say from the snake, rising up, atolentum, rising up angrily. Rising up angrily. Angrily. I don't know how to spell angrily. Okay, and tumentum, swelling with a Cyrulean neck, with a blue neck. If I remember right, there was a point in the book where they suggested there was a type of water snake native to the Mediterranean that had this kind of blue neck that swelled up. Um, Interestingly enough, the Romans also believed that snakes got their poison from eating poisonous grasses. So the reason Virgil is mentioning the harsh thorns is because that's where the snake would have gone to restock its poison. They didn't think that the snakes had poison, like pockets or pouches or whatever the heck it is that snakes have. They thought, no, it's actually from the poison that it eats. And that's why. All right, so that ends, by the way, that epic simile. So the epic simile takes just, what is it, 3 or 4 lines? 4 lines. It's a bit of a pickle, but there you are. No, I lied, 3 lines. Just like one who, pressing on an unseen snake, um, steps back. The snake is rising up angrily. It's rearing up and it's swelling with its neck. Okay, obviously getting ready to bite someone, right? We're getting ready to attack. Now, in this simile, the snake is Aeneas and the poor person is Androgeos. Okay, because Androgeos is the one that has no clue what's about to hit him, and Aeneas is about the one to raise up angrily. Hardly differently. Okay, and this had sekutus just means scarcely differently from this person. So hardly, you don't really have to put this down hardly differently. I mean, it's what it's there. Hardly differently. Did Androgeos, trembling, retreat, Risu from the site. From the site. Okay. So hardly differently did Androgeos, trembling, retreat from the site because he's in trouble. Okay. Now, notice the change of subject here. Do you see this T? And the Androgeos is the subject, right? And we have the third person singular T. God, I hope you guys remember your endings, right? Do you remember your endings? O, S, T, M, U, S, T, I, S, N, T. We've seen the TIS when Androgeos is talking to them, the you all. We just saw the T of the androgyos, but now we're getting a mus. Do you see the mus here? Remember, that mus is we. Okay? We rush in. Who's the we here? Who's talking? Aeneas is talking. So now we're changing the subject again. There's been a lot of subject changes, which I know for you guys, you're probably cursing this, going, why? But for the Romans, it made perfect sense and it was very clear. It's very elegant. Okay, so we rush in and we circum fundum, we spread around. We literally fundo to pour out, circum to around. We pour out around in a dense, like, cloud of weapons, with dense weapons. All right, so we rush in and we pour, I'm being very literal, around in a dense, in a dense armored circle, in a dense, maybe rather than in, say with dense weapons, because they're surrounding them. Okay, and with dense weapons, look here. See this one? And you have the quay again. So remember the quay acts as a little roadblock. You're going to go there. Okay. And notice that block and then the semicolon, sternimos, and we slaughter. Okay. Now we can't go to the direct object first. You have to go to the verb. And we slaughter the ones ignorant of the place, far and wide, and the ones captured by fear. Okay. So they're ignorant of the place because they have no idea where they are. Okay. And we slaughter the ones knowing of the place and the ones oh, ones captured by fear. And then you can just fit the possum in means far and wide. I don't care where you fit it, far and wide. All right, it basically means he kills everybody, right? Okay. So we rush in and we're killing everybody. Okay, we rush in and we kill everybody. The ones captured by fear, far and wide. Okay. Notice again, now we've got another verb, but we have another change. Okay, look at the T versus the MUS. We need a new subject. This is when Latin it's very elegant. You have to pay attention to the details. All right. We have a new subject here. Fortune. Notice fortune is capitalized because fortune is a god. Or god is, I should say. Fortune inspires, okay, the work. Right. Inspires the work. Primo at first. Inspires the work at first. Okay, so this tells us a couple of things. First, it tells us that Aeneas was successful. All right, he kills all of Androgeus' men. Notice these words, though, at first. That would be what we call foreshadowing, right? Because at some point, things are going to go south, and it's not going to go well, right? This is going to be bad. So while he has some success here, he's going to end up with a lot of bad things later. Okay, he's going to lose everybody actually pretty quickly. So that's fun. We know what's coming. All right. So when we get to class, we're going to start on 386. You guys, this is your three, whatever, those 10 lines. All right. And we're going to see that we're going to meet another one of his buddies, Coroebus, who's one of Aeneas's companions. All right. And he's really loving this whole thing. And he comes up with this cockamamie plan to switch armor. And I think we talked about that before, right? They take up the armor of the Trojans and they pretend to be Trojan, and things go badly for them. All right, so that's what we'll take up next class. All right, let me know if you have any questions.